Thank goodness for young folks. Anyways, so we're going to begin. Bole Baba Ki Jai. Welcome to today's or tonight's satsang. And tonight the subject is all these festivals. We're right in between. We just finished Krishna's birthday and we're moving into Ganesha's birthday. So it just seemed like there's so many different festivals and special occasions that Babaji would remember and take us on yatras and different activities like that. And also sometimes it brings up questions as like, who and why are all these deities? What do they mean in our heart? And how do we relate to them? So that's what we're going to be covering tonight. We have many special people here that have been with Babaji and can share some stories, or with Muniraji as well. So we have Meena Chandra from Delhi, we have Raghavir from Thailand, Nansing from Australia, Alok Banerjee from Allahabad, India, and Sanjeev from Delhi, India. And if there's other people who pop on, please, Gayatri's always good at letting me know. So thanks, Gayatri. And Gayatri will be in the background and pop on when she needs, and other people too. This is a time for everyone to be sharing. So who has maybe a story or a thought about this first? Actually, I sort of thought to think about Ganesh, because we're moving into Ganesh's special day, and typically in any puja we begin with Ganesh. So does anybody have thoughts around Ganesh, memories of being with Babaji on Ganesh's birthday? How was it celebrated with Babaji?
I don't remember anything about celebrations around Ganesh being celebrated in Erakan. Actually, it was mainly about the Navaratris, and Krishna birthday was celebrated. But these things, I don't remember anything about that. It's celebrated in a very big way in India, and enormously in Mumbai, particularly. The significance is, it's individual. I'm trying to not to go too much into, because we are Westerners, so we relate to, not everybody here is Westerner, but we relate to this in another way somehow. When I came to India and I saw that that the people there were worshipping people with elephant heads and monkeys, I saw them as extremely primitive. I judged them, and it took me some time with Babaji, some getting into these things, that I became extremely devoted to the same thing that I was judging so badly in the beginning. But that is, yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's more about judgment, actually. But yeah, about Ganesh itself, it is everybody knows it is the remover of obstacles. But when I now in my vision, I see that Ganesh is the embodiment of wisdom, which comes out in many of his stories. And Ganesh is also, any topic starts, any puja or anything initiates with Ganeshji. And actually, if you apply wisdom, if you have any, if you apply wisdom, or at least worship and call on wisdom before you do anything, the chances that things will go better is have a good chance. So in that way, it's bringing it home to normal chewable concepts as a Westerner. Then I would say something like that. That Ganesh is wisdom, and it is good to apply awareness and consciousness and wisdom in whatever you do.
Oh. এখানে কি করে আসবো বলো তো?
May I add, Ramloti, to what Raghu said?
Yes, yes, yes. I just heard somebody. Can everybody else make sure you have your microphone
Yeah.
off? Thank you. Go ahead, Sanjeev.
You see, there are the two
Sorry.
parts to Ganesha. One is the mythology and one other is the philosophy.
So, Sanjeev,
Now, can you hear me?
Sanjeev, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Can you come a little closer to your microphone?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you better. Thank you.
Now
Speak
switch off the
slow-
AC.
slowly.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit more slowly, Sanjeev, because
Okay. There are two parts to Ganesha. One is the mythology and other is the philosophy. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Without you, it would have not been possible. Yeah. So the philosophy, first we'll cover the mythology that once Shivji had gone somewhere for work and Parvati ji created an idol, and then she infused life into that idol and she became the son of, there are two various versions to it. That Parvati, she took off the stuff from her body and then she made it with other ones. She made it with
the turmeric from her body when she was having a bath.
yeah, the various parts to it. So she created Ganesha from it and she infused life into it. But when she said that I am going for bath Ganesha, so anybody who comes, you not let anybody come in. So when Shivji came and he said, I won't let you in because my mother has told I won't allow you to get into the into the chamber. So he said, you can't stop me. So Shivji in anger, he chopped off his head and he went inside. And when Parvati came after a bath and saw that her son, which she had created from her own thought, it was creation of thought. So Shivji is a destroyer of what is not right. So Shivji said that anything which has to be created by the law of nature. So what is not created by the law of nature should be destroyed. So there are two parts to it. Shivji killed Ganesha first, but then Parvati, being the wife, she created a lot of fuss and she was very angry. And she tried explaining to him that, this is how I created. And she said, you can't create something which is not natural. So which is not right and natural, I'll destroy it. He said, but still you have what you have done. I'll bring life to it. And then he told his Ganas to go and fetch, he said, first animal or first life living being you meet, chop that head and bring it to me. So the first the animal they met was the elephant. They brought, and then the head was put on Ganesha and it brought back the life into what Parvati had created. Now there is another one saint told me that like all
where is the natural aspect in that, Sanjeev?
It was, but there's no natural aspect, but it was this plastic surgery was done to please the wife. Okay, so please accept the mythology. Don't question it too much. So the other part to it is that all the mantras are completed with the Om. So it was actually a mantra which was created by Parvati, to which Shivji added a Om. So this elephant trunk is symbolism of that Om. So whenever you write any mantra, Om is added to it as the pranava, or it is a beginning. So that's why you worship, Shivji said, you will be the first worship God, whenever you do any kind of prayers or you offering to the gods. So Ganesha will be the first, he'll be symbolism of that Om. The philosophy behind it is that Ganesha has two big ears. So they say that listen more. The trunk is symbolism of being focused on what you have to do. His vehicle, which is a mouse is like thoughts. The thoughts run like a crazy ball. The mouse also is keep running. You see the way the mouse runs. Similarly, our thoughts also, they're always running in 20 directions, thought aimlessly. And whenever we're trying to do anything good, the first doubt comes in our own mind, whether we'll be successful, whether we'll do it, all these thoughts come. So philosophically, it is basically the management of our own mind. That bringing that trunk is symbolism that first concentrate yourself, listen more, talk less, understand more, be like Raghu was saying, bring in more awareness and consciousness of your own mind. That's why when you do all this, you are able to pray better, you're able to focus better, you're able to concentrate better. It is about awakening your own, when it means wisdom, that we have to awaken our own intellect to the awareness of what we don't know in life. So that is the symbolism.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
I'll just add that he has 3 trunks which they show. They say that Lord Ganesh uses his trunk to destroy obstacles and progress. And it brings in different changes. And his trunks, which he has a left trunk. Some believe that a straight trunk or a right trunk. That is also one point in India where they want to see which trunk. So what I can tell you is that the left trunk is mostly for the trunk is for householders to buy an idol, which is on the left, because the left trunk is called what you call is facing the north direction. This is believed to align with the process, the qualities of the moon, which makes the site peaceful and blissful. So that's why in the house, when you have an idol of Lord Ganesh, they try to see with his trunk to the left. Then they prefer, then people say with the right trunk, which Shastriji himself told us that this trunk is only basically kept like you have in mandirs, or people who are going to do puja every day to him. He has to be looked after. So the one with the right trunk is one which is, you have to do puja every day to it. So that is that. And the one with the straight trunk is a lot very hard to find, but it has the deepest significance. It means that the Suhasham Nadi is now open and there is complete oneness between all the body senses and the divinity is complete. You're completely unburdened and are completely transparent. This type of Ganesh needs to be worshipped through, though the worship is not a rigid and the right trunk Ganesh and can be worshipped normally. These types of Ganesh, they make the greatest gift, although they are extremely rare to find. So a straight trunk is very rare to find. So usually to keep in the house is with the left trunk.
Yes. Thank you, Meena. I wondered about that.
May I add a scientific perspective to this as well, please? If I may, if you have time.
I'm sorry, who said that?
This is me. This is Saurav Roy here.
Saurabh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
May I just? All right. Thank you very much. So lovely to hear from Sanjeevji and from Anchalji about Ganesha. We just put together, former colleagues of mine from the BBC and from Al Jazeera, we put together a little series for Netflix. It's called This Mystic World, where we're trying to bring together the ancient perspectives from India and match it with modern day science. And our first episode was in Ganesha, and it's going to be aired by Netflix next year. The whole idea was, what is the mythology of Ganesha versus the science in today's day in elephants? So as we understand that the mythology tells us that Ganesha is the lord of Siddhis, his two wives, Siddhi and Riddhi are his two wives. Yeah, and one of the Siddhis that we all talk about are the mystic perfection. The Siddhi that we all talk about is telepathy. And Ganesha being the lord of Siddhi, does he really bestow that? And if yes, then is the contemporary of Ganesha in real animal life? Does that ability of telepathy happen in elephants or not? So what we did is we shot an episode in the Periyar National Park in India, which is a national park for elephants, and another team shot a parallel episode in Africa. And the whole idea was to see, how do elephants communicate? It's astonishing that the mythology and the science matches so closely. So as we see that, if you have to, we read in autobiography of a yogi and so many other spiritual scriptures that the master just communicated his message to the disciples sitting hundreds of kilometers away in his thought, in the head, and the message was transferred. In real life, elephants have cornelian cells, which are packed in the tip of the trunk and in the nails of the elephant. And our idea was to show that what we call as Siddhi in mythology happens scientifically in the animal world as well. And so when you find in a herd of elephants, they communicate with each other over distances as long as 200 kilometers just by low frequency non-verbal communication, which no one can hear, but it is just a low frequency non-verbal rumble which comes out of the skull, the huge skull, the cranium of the elephant. And other herds can receive it, and they can send back responses over a distance of at least 150 to 200 kilometers. Therefore, in a wild patch, or in a wild jungle, or in a forest area which is spread across 2,000 square kilometers, the elephants tell each other exactly where the fruit-bearing trees are. They tell exactly when another herd is given birth to a baby, and the rest of the herds start migrating towards it. So I think our ancient mythology is not just mythology. There was a certain deep wisdom, as Raghuveer pointed out earlier, and it is that wisdom that we now see that science is also finding out. And it was just something fascinating that we found out while shooting our first episode. So I just wanted to share with you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ramloti, I see that Alok is sitting upstairs, but his name is here in the middle, but I think he's on a different channel. So if you highlight the other Alok,
The other Alok.
then we can.
Let's see. There you are, Alok. You're
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
tricking us today, but I just want to thank you for that beautiful story about, and if you let us know when they're going to air this thing about Ganesh. I think it's fascinating that what we think is mythology is actually based in truth and something that we didn't understand mostly. But thank you. Alokji, Bole Baba Ki Jai.
Yes.
Do you have anything
Sorry,
to say? And we certainly don't have to keep on the idea of Ganesh. We've honored him and welcomed him, or Nansing if you have something also, but
He is most like Ganesh. They didn't take his head off yet, but.
Okay, so thank you. I'm sorry, I had little problems connecting today. Actually, my granddaughter, she always connects me on this platform, but today she was not here, so we had some problems. But I'm here now. So okay, so about Ganesh ji, I mean, there's so much we have already spoken about Ganesh ji, and one thing I can tell you that, when we in our own temple here at home, we have Ma, Hedakhandeshwari Ma, Ganesh ji, and Hedakhan Baba. So, Ganesh ji, when we wanted to get this murti of Ganesh ji done from Banaras, from Varanasi, I asked our old Shastri ji, what do you think? This trunk should be on the right or on the left? So this confusion, as Meena ji was trying to explain to us, so he was very clear, and he said, no, you must have it on the right. And I said, oh, okay. So yes, as Meena ji says, I mean, we have this beautiful murti of Ganesh ji in Ashtadhatu.
Ναι. Καφέ μέσα.
Okay. Okay, so in Ashtadhatu, and of course.
can somebody please?
Ναι.
Το μικρό πιτσάνι που φάρμασα το πρωί.
Ναι,
Αυτό το
και
πάρω.
να μου το δώσει.
Okay.
Κρύο.
Excuse me, I need somebody to mute the thing.
Yes, Yanis, you need to mute yourself. Giannis Vuvukis in Greece,
Yes.
probably. You need to mute.
Take away your
Okay.
microphone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri, because I can never find them. Okay, great. Go ahead, Alok.
Okay, so so as I was saying, so but yes, of course, we do puja every day, morning and evening. We do puja to this our Ganeshji, and we are very happy to have him with us in with his having his trunk on the right side at home. So I mean, this is what Shastriji had told me. So I think you better carry on with Ganeshji if you want to. I mean, this is what I can contribute more than what we have already discussed.
Like I said, we can switch to anything that we remember around these things. Nan Singh, did you have something to share?
Not about Ganesh. I think it's been shared all that I know anyway.
Why don't you share something else then?
Yeah, before we came on, I was just considering it, and I was little meditation on Kali Ma, because we're really in this Kali time. And I think certainly in the West, of all the Devas and Devis, she's the most misunderstood. She really, Kali Ma, you know, it's the intense Shakti, this intense female energy. But she's also this other part of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is about the destruction, but the destruction of that which no longer serves us, the psychological parts of us that stand in the way of our end of separation with the divine. And I think, especially for people coming from the West, is that Kali Ma transcends this thoughts about good and evil that are very much in Western thought and Western religion. She is, you know, we see her with her tongue out and the necklace of skulls and the skirt of bones, but this is, people think this is about the that she's responsible for human mortality, which is, my understanding is that that's not the case, that it's about the death of the ego. And but she's also the goddess of time, and we're all in some way bound by that. The goddess of change and the goddess of destruction. And Baba talked about this Kali Yuga coming. And so I think it's quite appropriate that meditate and think upon Ma Kali in this time. And I think for those of us who live in the West and interact with, you know, people from the West, and they ask questions, then they see Kali and they're like, oh, this is demonic. But it's transcends, her energy transcends that completely. When I was with Baba in 1977, and he was talking about this coming Kali Yuga a lot in that time. And given that we're in that time of year, or just past that time of year of Shravan, and he did Parthiv Puja. And on the last day of the Parthiv Puja, he made a big Havan. And I was sitting, Baba was sitting, you know, directly behind where the lingam is, and I was sitting just to the side looking at him. And he said, well, what I observed was as he was pouring the offerings on the fire, the ghee and water, the flames were enormous. And I couldn't understand how he wasn't burnt, because they were reaching way, way up, and he was very close. And I could feel the heat where I was. And as he was doing this, he was laughing like this, really loud laughing. And I'm looking, and he said, what came in my mind as I watched this is Lord Shiva. This is Lord Shiva and the fire of destruction, because he'd been talking about this coming destruction then. And afterwards we got up and he said, when I lit this fire, I lit the fire of destruction. Now it can't be stopped. And all my hair was, well, I didn't have much, but the little bit that was there was standing up. It was an extraordinary moment. And he said that people who were there in that day with him, he said, I've called you all from all over the world to witness the lighting of the fire. So, Bole Baba Ki Jai.
Wow. And I know, Lokji, you have a story about Babaji and Kali because he installed one in your temple. Would you share that?
Yeah, okay. You see, I think this year we are going to celebrate the 162nd year of Kali Puja, our family Kali Puja, 162 years. And Kali is like, the personal goddess of our family. So I remember that, and we still offer a bali. We still offer a goat is sacrificed on Kali Puja day. Still, that is Baba didn't stop us. We asked him, Baba, should we carry on with this? No, he didn't say anything. So it goes on. But okay. But you see, how I can connect with this is that once Babaji was here, this is all happening in our ancestral home. This is not in my home. This is in Dipu Bhai's home, the ancestral home of our family. And there still is the last Kali Mandir, which was established by Babaji in 1984, 26th January. So that was the last temple Babaji actually initiated during his time. And so this was during, not that time, but 1 year earlier, I think. Babaji was here with us. And so, this was on this Saraswati Puja day. So Babaji was with us. And so we did this pujas to him. And where in our family home there is a special platform where the pujas are performed, special place. So Babaji wanted to see this place, so we all took him there, and there was this asana for Ma, which was not there, but this asana was already there. So Babaji, he went straight to this asana, and nobody was allowed to even go inside, excepting the pujaris or the helpers who do the puja. But Babaji stepped into this place, and he went and sat straight on this asana. We were absolutely thunderstruck. He said, "What's happening?" Babaji is sitting there, and you cannot imagine that we really had darshan of Ma. Babaji sitting in the form of Ma there. And so this is how we have the link with the Babaji, Kali, and our ancestral house and all the pujas that we do. So, and that is how, when we were all surprised that the last in his installation of this mandir, Kali Ma was installed by Babaji there, not Durga or Hera Khandeshwari Ma, but Kali. So Babaji knew exactly, how these, he knew what was necessary for us, and this is what the link was with us, with Kali Puja. So I think this is, I think one thing I wanted to share with you. So, but anyway, I think carry on, and then we can join and have something else to say later on.
But how do you feel about Kali Ma? Can you just share a few words about that? I mean, Nansing shared so beautifully, and anything to add to that for particularly us Westerners, but everybody.
Okay, Kali Ma is, like I said, is our ancestral Devi. But in our home, we have Hera Khandeshwari Ma. And so my affiliation or likeness is Ma in the form of Hera Khandeshwari. And that is how, I would like to also share with you, once link with Hera Khandeshwari Ma, and Babaji actually initiated me, and Hera Khandeshwari Ma is my personal Devi. So I remember, once during the Navaratris, I was sitting with Munirajji in Chilanola for puja, and I could see that every day there was every day Durga Ma was worshipped in the form of in her 9 forms, starting from Shailputri and Shailputri, then Brahmacharini, Chandraganta, Kushmanda, Skandamata, Katyayani, Kalaratri, Mahagauri, and Siddhidatri. But there was no mention of Hera Khandeshwari Ma. So I asked Munirajji, how is it that we do puja, Durga Puja every day during this Navaratri, and we don't offer any puja to Hera Khandeshwari Ma? So Munirajji told me that this is what we are doing. This is the puja, which the Durga Puja is all affiliated to Hera Khandeshwari Ma. I said, oh. So this is the link of Hera Khandeshwari Ma, and Babaji in his in this Hera Khandeshwari Saptasati, and on the first page, where he gives his Ashirvad, he has mentioned himself, he's spoken that Hera Khandeshwari Ma is the abutment of all forms of Ma, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. So all the 3 forms of Ma are there in Hera Khandeshwari Ma. So my affiliation, when I do my own pujas, personal puja, and so my affiliation is really to Hera Khandeshwari Ma. So this is not that we still worship Kali Puja, do Kali Puja at home, but my affiliation is with Hera Khandeshwari Ma. Hera Khandeshwari Ma ki jai.
Jai.
One of my favorite stories of Kali is from the Devi Bhagavatam, which that big book which is read during Navaratri always, everywhere in India actually. And that is where she is called, because at a certain point there is a demon, a demonic force, that as soon as he is cut, as soon as he in a huge battle, as soon as he is cut and the drop of blood of him falls on the floor, a new form of her rises. So it grows and it grows and it grows, and it is impossible to combat. And even the other gods, if they start to attack, then it becomes really only more problems. So Kali is called in, and she comes with her big tongue, and she licks up all the blood before it can rise into a demon. And what does it now really mean? It is that she stands here for desire. And if we contemplate one moment on our desires, then we can see that one desire brings another one. It's a coffee, it's the sugar, it's a cookie with the coffee, and so on. But that is about simply everything. And that is really good to study. To be constantly aware of our desires, because it is not so bad if you have a cup of tea and we keep our desires in check, but desires also, if not kept in check, they roll over in sloth and in greed and in lust and in all these things, and then we really have serious problems before standing between us and our divine experience. I think yeah, let's leave it at that. Jai Kalima. I worship her as the one who helps me to keep the desires in somewhat in check.
It's this link between the Devas and Devis and modern science. I was just reading something briefly yesterday, and I can't say that I have a great depth of knowledge about it, but it said that quantum physics has now discovered that which yogis and rishis have known for thousands of years, and that is that our thoughts and the desires come from the thoughts. When we think, we often go down the rabbit hole of thinking this leads to that, to that. The same with the desires that Raghu's describing. You have one and then it leads to the next, to the next. But now in quantum physics, they say the thinking leads to the feelings, the emotions, and this leads to our actions. And it seems that more and more the deeper science goes, and in quantum physics is incredibly deep. It just reflects what yogis and rishis have cognized for thousands of years. And yeah, Boli Baba Ki Jai.
Yeah.
And
Last year I did a little piece about Hare Kandishwari Ma, and I asked, actually already it's 2 years ago that I asked Mayapati to explain a little bit about her. And she is the embodiment of Kali, Lakshmi and Saraswati. It's all mixed in one. The lotus is because of Brahma, of Saraswati. The four things that she's holding is the four great blessings of life, which is from Lakshmi. And the moon in her hair is Lord Shiva. So she comprises them all three of the main goddesses.
well, I think this also the study of sound and mantras. This what Raghu is referring to, Ratabija, and this wonderful story of Kali coming in and licking up all the drops of blood, because like he said, if I desire to have this new thing and maybe I get that desire, immediately I have a new desire to get something even better or more, or like you said, yeah, from small to big. And so the mantra that Swami Saraswati Satchidananda, I think his name is, that Raghu was, I think, referring to his stories, which are wonderful to read if you ever have a chance to get that translation of the Chandipat. Talks about the mantra Om Aing Hring Kling Chamundaya Viche, which is referring to Chamunda, who destroyed some of the thoughts of, I think, too much and too little. Some of these things, like I don't have enough food, I don't have enough popularity, or I have too much, and it's always keeping us moving, like Nan Singh said, you know, the thought comes and then we have, oh yeah, we've got to go do that, and suddenly we're active and doing and desiring. So that's a very powerful mantra. When I find myself going down that rabbit hole with desires and thoughts, I just start that mantra, and for me it's very powerful to help bring me back to my center. So have to run over. Okay. Mina, you've been quiet, but you just ran away. Somebody else has something else to share about Hare Kandeshwari. It's interesting in our temple, obviously, we have a huge Murti of Hare Kandeshwari, and we are known as Lakshmi Temple around the country. So people refer to our Murti as Lakshmi. And Alok, you probably remember her very much, but she has the chakra in one hand, and in this hand she has the conch, and in her bottom hand, right hand is her blessing hand, and then in her other hand she has the scepter, or the
Mace.
Yeah, so whether it's scepter or mace. So, but she's standing on a lotus, and people just feel that energy of Lakshmi from her, and they call her the Lakshmi Temple. And they're very confused that we have a big Nandi out in front, which is generally the sign of Shiva. So, but I always explain to her she's all three. But any comments on her? You said a little bit, Raghu, about her symbols. Or Alok, do you have more thoughts? Go ahead, Sanjeev.
See, one saint from whom I learned Ayurveda, he told me that.
Move close again.
Okay.
And yeah.
There was a Himalayan saint from whom I learned Ayurveda. He told me that he was basically a worshipper of the Mother, Divine Mother. So every morning at 4 o'clock, from 4 till 9 o'clock, he used to worship in the traditional Vedic way. He used to worship the Divine Mother. He told me that the Trinity of Mother, the Mother is basically symbol and all the cosmic energy. What we call Shakti actually is she is the primordial energy of this entire universe, the Mother. And when we worship Shri Yantra, there is a triangle. If you see in the Yantra, you see a triangle over there. So the three aspects of Mahakali, of Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi, all three, he said there are three energies with which this entire universe runs. The first, he said, is the Ichha Shakti, the desire. It's also a form of an energy. He said desire cannot be fulfilled without knowledge. So he said Gyan Shakti. Ichha Shakti, the energy of desire, then energy of knowledge. Then he said the action, Karma Shakti. He said whatever you desire in this universe starts with whatever you want. So you need the Ichha Shakti, which is the Sankalp or Shakti, Then the second is you gather knowledge and then put into action. And it keeps going on. Because you keep getting better, you desire, you get the knowledge, you put into action, something remains, you again make it better, you keep holding on to your desire. So he said this is the symbolism of Shri Yantra, of the three aspects, three dimensions of the Divine Mother. This is how this universe is created, and this is how this life runs in the universe.
Thank you. Meena, do you have anything to add? You have been quietly over there, and I've been reading such beautiful things from you about any of the gods or goddesses, or also remembering times you were with Baba when he shared some wisdom about this. Meena, you're muted though, sweetheart. Maybe you can't. Oh, asked.
Meena ji, I'm muted. Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
I said I was unfortunate that I did not speak to Babaji, face to face. It was more like he used to speak to me as in, what should I say, by not in words, but by, more by action. He used to convey things to me. Or he would be giving me visions. So basically, he really never gave me any visions about any gods or goddesses. It's more, he taught me in different ways. So basically, it's now actually I'm learning more when I'm hearing the Bhagavatam or I'm hearing other things or reading. Am I really learning about the different gods and goddesses, to be frank? Basically, at that time, I really didn't know, except what Shastriji used to keep telling me, or, when the newsletter was being written, he would explain things, then one would get to know. So I would not really be able to add on to Ma Kali in any way.
But what I've heard from you, Meena, is that you do have a very strong connection through your visions and your dreams, and that Babaji taught you through those dreams how to do the puja and things like that. And that's
No, that in fact, he's shown me even Mahakali in a very different form in a vision also. He showed me how Kundalini rises also, So I've had those type of experiences, but that's something which I can't talk or explain. Those visions were so strong at that time. And I did mention them to Shastriji, and he told me just keep quiet about them. After that, I forgot. It was like it happened and I just forgot about it.
Wow. That's very beautiful, though. We also just celebrated this ceremony called Raksha Bandhan. Is that how you say it, Alok? Yeah, when you
Raksha Bandhan, yeah.
And I remember that ceremony because I was there with my family, my children, and I actually posted a picture of my older son getting the string tied on his wrist by Babaji. And so I remember that time, but most of these things I had no idea what they meant other than Babaji was loving us and putting a string of protection on our wrist. Can somebody speak more about that?
Sanjeev, bolo kuch.
You're muted, Shivji.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, sorry. Somebody came, so I was talking to him. So sorry. So tell me again.
Oh, I was just asking about Raksha Bandhan, because Babaji would put a thread on our wrist, and just more of that significance other than.
See, actually, it started with Janayu, Yagyopavi. You may not change the Yagyopavi, Janayu, but the most important day is Raksha Bandhan. Because on the day of Raksha Bandhan, it's a Purnima, full moon day. You take a vow. It is a very important full moon day in the Indian system because there are 3 knots in the Janayu. So there are 3, vows you take in life. One is the vow of serving your parents. The second is the vow of serving your teacher. The third is a vow of serving your guest, because a guest is like a god. Atithi Devo Bhava. So you take 3 vows in life that unconditionally I'll fulfill these promises in my life. Because according to our Shastras, the scriptures, we are born with 3 loans. Any human being when he comes into the world. Those 3 loans are Pitri Rin, Devo Rin, Guru Rin. So the Pitri Rin is that somebody has given you birth in this world. You will serve that person in the form of God, and also you will continue the tree by giving birth to new life. That's how life continues in the universe. The second is the Devarin. Dev is the Atithi, anyone with whom you have no selfish interest. it may be a poor person, rich person, anybody. Selflessly, you will serve to the best of your ability for that person. That's because we have every moment from this cosmos and this, we are taking air for which we don't pay a bill. We are drinking water, the entire, all the elements of the nature. They are coming to us free of cost. This life is also free of cost to us. So how do we pay back this loan? By serving other people selflessly. The third is that from the teacher whom we learn in life, there are two things that we should in some way, in kind of cash, pay back to the teacher. And also the knowledge which you have learned from the teacher should be passed on to the future generation. In the same way that the teacher selflessly gave us all the what he had. So these are the basically Raksha Bandhan started from the Yagyopavi Janayu. Initially, this Rakhi used to happen. It was a vow of fulfilling my dharma. The Janayu is basically symbolism of dharma, that I'll take the vow to fulfill my dharma in this life and on this earth. So later that became a thread ceremony.
Thank you.
There's one story to it also, that in the Mahabharata, Lord Krishna once cut his finger, and seeing this, Draupadi, she tore a piece of cloth from her sari and she tied that on the finger to stop the bleeding of Lord Krishna. So that piece of cloth then became this sacred thread. So since then, that was a Raksha. And what I remember is that during Raksha Bandhan Day, Lord Krishna has given a lot of importance. And they generally say, if you take a Janu, and if you make 7 knots, each knot with Gayatri month, it is a Raksha for your house. It's a protection for your house. So what Sanjeev is talking about, the Janu is of great importance because it is all connected with Lord Krishna. And 7 times they say, make a knot, say Gayatri month, second knot, Gayatri month, and it becomes a Raksha. So that Raksha is for your house, for your whole being. And then later on, of course, then the brothers and sisters, that's another story to it, that, the brother is protecting the sister is tying the thread, the sacred thread for the brother to always remember that it's a protection between them. That's one story to it.
Yeah, very special. Raghu, do you remember that day, or anybody? Alok?
I remember tying that protection thing, but just as you said yourself, it is. It was a protection thing, and if you see in the bazaar, what absurd things they're selling also for this function. But it was nice, of course, to get one from Babaji and to a few people that you love and you deem particular, and other people come to you also to do this. Yeah, it is fun. It is nice also. There's something also in this about brother and sister, which is important. Maybe somebody can highlight that in India. It's actually a protection from the sister to the brother, I believe, isn't it? Or the other way around?
It's the other way around. The brother is protecting the sister.
But the sister's putting it on the brother traditionally, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it's traditionally, it's like, yes.
It seems so obvious to me, actually, that the brother is protecting the sister, that I thought it must be the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, I put them on Jonathan and Prem, to this time, just quietly, no big deal. But, and I mean, what I was thinking was that, you're my brothers, and I think of you and I pray for you. And I know that, like you said, Raghu, they would always look after me. So it was for me, it was very touching. What they felt, who knows? But to have Babaji do that, and like I also had some of those big fancy things, that you buy in the bazaar, and
Yeah.
I've given them to other people, but those, that Babaji put on me. So I mean, I think, I don't know, just thinking about this and, and maybe Baba didn't I think Baba celebrated things because people told him to. It's sort of the same thing here, They say, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, Saraswati Puja Day, so we should do that. Okay. And just,
But Babaji has given us, promised us all his devotees, Abhayan, divine protection. So string, no string, not seen Babaji or been with him or not or anything. It is, we have divine protection. So somehow let's focus on that and not worry about string.
not worry about the bangles.
This is Rita. I'm on a telephone. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that this isn't about the string. Sorry. It's when Nan Singh talked about his meditation about Kali and then the fire with Baba when it was like when Shiva let all the negative or loose to do their worst. And it really touched me because that's what we're dealing with now with this Kali Yuga. And Pajari had asked a question last time about, with this Kali Yuga, how are we dealing with it? And, what Baba taught us, how is that? It just reminded me of that. And I know this is off topic, but it just touched me. That whole, it was a very touching thing what he said. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. I never saw it as a release of negative energies, though. We all live with the 4 seasons. Well, unless you live in the tropics, but that the spring of renewal, the summer of growth, and then in the autumn it falls away, and in the winter it's the time for everything to sleep. And I saw it much more like that Kali Yuga is this part of the cycle when the untruth gets transformed, and that which no longer serves and is destructive is transformed, not the release of negative energies, but this is Lord Shiva. It's his time, and the time of Kali, Ma Kali, his Shakti. So it's the cleaning up, if you like. I see it more in that, and I'd welcome anybody else's thoughts about that.
Can I add a vision which I had, which Babaji showed me years back? I saw in Hera Khan, he showed me that where Shastriji was sitting and reading the Srimad Devi Bhagavad, I see a small girl coming out wearing black. Very pretty girl. She must be about 6 or 7. Then I see Babaji sitting. Next, I see Babaji sitting on his asana, and there's this beautiful small girl about 5 years old, wearing absolutely yellow, and she's got a pot in her hand, and she's looking into the pot, and Baba very lovingly is looking at her and, caressing her head, and that pot is empty. And then all of a sudden I woke up. I didn't see the third little girl. So quite obviously he showed me Mahakali, and I think yellow was, Alok Bhai, would it be Mahasaraswati or Mahalakshmi? I'm not quite sure still. I was not able to confirm that. And third one, I think Baba just stopped. I didn't see the third one. Otherwise, probably I would have seen all 3. That day, Babaji would have given me darshan of all 3 Devis that day. It was so beautiful. I still can't forget Shastriji reading the Srimad Devi Bhagavad. And this little girl, she comes out of the Srimad Devi Bhagavad, absolutely beautiful, wearing just black. It was so beautiful. And that girl in the yellow looking into that pot, it was a earthen pot, empty, but looking into it, and Babaji smiling, and it was such a beautiful scene. I just can't get over it. Beautiful, absolutely. It just occurred to me just now. I said, I must tell you, this is one thing I saw.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the third Devi I did not see. So definitely there's Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and there's Mahasaraswati.
Yeah, I always think of Vishnu and Lakshmi with the yellow or the gold. But I
Good,
could be wrong.
okay.
And maybe what we're supposed to do is move toward the knowledge. You know, with the third Devi that you didn't see yet.
But the white,
toward
yeah, I didn't see the third.
the knowledge of, I don't know, right action, moving.
That was the most beautiful scene. Beautiful.
So Baba was always speaking to you in your heart, Meena, even though you said
Oh,
you didn't
yes,
so much face to face. It's really
yes,
such a,
yes, yes. Or it was with gestures. He only spoke to me in gestures.
which is like Raghu pointed out, it's so important for people who haven't met Babaji to remember that he's in our hearts guiding us. This is actually why these things began. People started telling me stories that never met Babaji. And I was so inspired. I wanted all those to be shared with other people because Babaji is very much in people's hearts constantly.
It is still also the miracle for me to witness all the time how people, even here in Thailand, in the temple here, which is inside a resort, it's not really a, and there people are coming and they somehow they hear the arti singing and they sit down and they feel something and they want to learn and they come back and they get deeper into it. And several of them are coming already to India. It's amazing if they don't have the same thoughts or the same knowledge that we all exchange here, but they are somehow all called by something they don't really understand. And yeah, that is Babaji without the same form. Yeah, they also start to experience something when they look at these pictures, and but it is all coming in a totally different way. It is really that consciousness which is embedded in every human heart, and some people can all of a sudden feel it moving as soon as they come and hear an arti or see a picture, and it becomes more and more alive. And to some it is probably not reachable because of their karmas or their stories, whatever it is, but many do, and it's every time a miracle to see happening.
Very, very true.
Very true. Very well said.
Yeah. As it is for me also a miracle that people stay around for a while, saw Babaji, and then go on and do other things.
Yes, yes.
Go and find another guru or something. I mean, that also happens.
This, yeah.
Well, Baba did say, go to the wise and learn.
Yeah.
So,
I also,
Amazing.
go ahead, Alok.
Yeah, okay. Amazing also, Raghu, as you were saying, that, you know, these new devotees come, I mean, people come and, you know, have darshan in the temple. And, I mean, I was also surprised, you know, that even after Babaji's Samadhi, Munirajji's time, and when he was the chairman, you could see that how many new people came. I mean, young, old. I mean, they had not had that darshan of Babaji, but then they all kept coming. And I mean, during the Navaratris, I remember the numbers kept growing till about, we had about 250 or 300 devotees for Navaratri.
More than with Babaji. There were with Muniraj, the numbers grew more than with Babaji. There was 300-400 people for
Yes.
Navaratri, only Westerners, and then
Yes, exactly. I'm I'm talking about the Westerners only, Raghu. I mean, Indians, of course, I mean, there's a big, large number, but the devotees from the West, I mean, it's amazing. So Babaji also said that, you know, only those who will come to me, who I call them, will come to me. I mean, Babaji said this. I mean, you know, so I mean, there must be some link somewhere with Babaji to bring all these people to Herakan and to Chilenola.
Numbers,
And
numbers
yeah.
are still very limited if we compare to Amma or to Sai Baba or these. There's nothing. There are thousands and thousands of people coming. So actually, we can be very happy that we had this this kind of limited. I've been sometimes in the monsoon with Babaji with 10 people. There were no more, and we were sitting and cooking something together, which was like a family life in the
Yes.
in Herakan. Amazing if you think about these things. But he was definitely controlling. He didn't want too many people. He didn't need his body to do his work. He worked through other people, and he worked the consciousness itself, as we were saying before, that it is embedded in the human heart and it's everywhere. And it is, he was saying one time in his speeches from, yeah, you think I'm just sitting here, but half of my work is already done. He said that somewhere in the end of the 70s. Yeah, he was working in another way. Why we were sitting there with him and we were able to spend all this time there is really because we were not quite the finest yogis, or we were just blessed for one reason or the other, which I don't want to think about too much because it doesn't seem to make so much logical sense.
Yeah, I mean, till the year 2018, you know, till this COVID thing started. I mean, the Navratris, I mean, was full of devotees. New people, so many new people had come. So it is. There has to be some power to, you know, bring them to Chilenola and to Herakan. I mean, as Raghu is just saying, I mean, though it was limited as compared to the, you know, other Ammaji and Sai Baba and all those places, I don't know. But I mean, I'm talking about Herakan. I've seen this numbers growing till 2018. I mean, unfortunately, last 2 years, I mean, it's been a different story. But I mean, I'm sure that if and when the travel starts again, there will be huge crowd coming to Chile. And I think a lot of people are just eagerly waiting to come and have darshan.
Can I add a vision that I had a few years ago? It must be a few years ago. I just saw a vision that there's a very big open place, and I'm just gone there, and there's a big platform. And on the platform, when I go, I see Baba in Chaturbhuj. Chaturbhuj meaning with 2 arms up, 4 arms, 2 arms up, and 2. No, sitting with his hands on his lap. And I'm wondering now, what is this happening? And there is just sky. There's you know, no covering or no temple, nothing. And all of a sudden I see 2 bells hanging, but I said, from where the bells hanging, there's no roof. And the bells are ringing away, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I get excited. I said, Baba has come, Baba has come. Now what should I do? I don't have any fruits in my hand. I don't have any flowers in my hand. Now, how do I greet him? How do I greet him? And I get, you know, very nervous. So I leave everything and I rush out. And by the time I rush out, I see huge amount of people I can't explain to you. Trucks and trucks and lorries of people. So many people I can't tell you. So I think that is going to happen. That's going to happen because there are going to be so many people that I got lost. I said, now where have I come? Where have I come? Because It was just amazing. It was his own full roop of Chaturbuj. 2 arms up, and again that the bells were, ringing away wildly, and he just sitting there in his full glory, and so many people, it was unbelievable.
And he said that one point that there would be lines all the way to Bareilly, or however you say that town, people coming. I can just say that.
I don't know, but I definitely, maybe if we live to see that, I don't know, but
Probably not, but that's still to come. He spoke also about the big hotels with 100 rooms in Hirakan on 2 different places that they know about. So all sorts of things are still in store, maybe. Let's see. But then he will definitely have to come back himself and say that I am.
When I was
Muniraji was his own joyful presence, and he was channeling a lot Babaji. So people used to come and get also certain teachings and malas and mantras and all these things. So it became, but that is still happening now when there is really no focus of a master. It's just, and that's people still getting, not coming to Hirakan, but they just get hear some people singing the arti, or they connect with a picture. That is really amazing.
I was going to say that usually by the end of a week or two, over 500 people have watched this satsang. And I hear from many of them, as similar like you're saying, Raghu. They just heard about Babaji, and then they start watching, and then they explore for everything else on the internet about Babaji, and then they are just, he's in their heart. And so it's, for me, it's a remembrance that all of us, we're connected, and then we forget, and we're born, like Baba said, we begin to think about me and mine, so we forget about God. But then when the timing is right, we remember, whether it's just like, so many of our stories, even coming to Babaji, was just reading one book or just seeing one picture, so it's the same thing now. People, like you said, hear the arti or they hear a satsang, and that memory comes up of our connection to the divinity, which in this case we call Babaji.
Recently, last week, one gentleman, I taken to Hirakan for 1 day, and I bought him a small photograph of Babaji. He called me after 18 years. After that, we lost touch. He lives in Delhi only. And he said, I called you to tell you that I worship to this picture every day. I, do my prayers, and I light a diya. I do it every day. I've always been connected with, he just said, I called you to express my gratitude to you that you took me there. And I pray to this divine form every day. He just called me 2 to 3 days back, after 18 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said,
Lalita has her hand up.
Go ahead, Lalita.
Hello, Bole Baba ki jai.
Bole Baba ki jai.
So, as I told you when first time I attended the satsang, that I also got introduced to Baba's presence in my life. Though he has always been present, now I understand. But last year, it's a month or 2 over 1 year now. And I am also coming in contact with many people who have, recently been introduced to Baba, or Baba has introduced them to themselves. I don't know what to say about it. And they are constantly, having visions or having darshan in dreams, or somewhere, like they're listening about him, and they've started inquiring about him. So that awareness about that divinity inside of us is rising many folds day by day. And we have a small WhatsApp group over here of some devotees, in which many of them are newbies like me. And suddenly everybody is writing poems, and everybody is painting, and everybody is singing, and it's beautiful. Every day something new is happening, and it keeps the fire alive inside of us. And we have also started weekend satsangs, like tomorrow we'll have a satsang. So we sing and we recite poems and share our experiences. So it is like that. And to Raghuveer, I want to tell one dream of mine recently I had. That day, you shared that experience of yours where Baba held your hand and held your hand and took you, and he was looking at you with so much love, and you were bewildered what to do and what not to do. So I had this dream recently. I was in hospital. I was down with COVID, and my husband also. So I saw Baba in my dreams. He was wearing this parrot green kurta. And mostly I see him in parrot green kurta whenever I see him in my dreams. So, he was there, and it was a wedding kind of atmosphere, and he was the groom. And as there is a tradition in India that whenever the groom party comes for the wedding, they steal the shoes. So I was thinking, and I was washing his feet with some water. I was cleaning his feet, like in one of the rituals. I was doing that, and then what happened is he was looking at me with so much love in his eyes. He was looking at me, and all I could think at that time was, this is the right time to steal his shoes. So why is not anybody doing anything about him? Abhi inke joote chura ke leke jaa. Right now, somebody should come and take away what. And then I was wondering, what is he wearing? Is he wearing a khadao? Is he wearing a shoe? Or is he wearing some sandals? All that was going on in my head, and I was looking at him. Then I was, thinking about all these things. And as Raghu said that day, that I could not reciprocate that amount of love he was showing me. It was a beautiful dream, and it gave me so much courage to come out with the difficult situation. So that's one dream I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. Kole Baba ki jai.
Yeah.
When I first was living with Baba in Herakan, it was very small. There was the mandir, of course, and Baba's kutir and Swami Fakiranand's room, and the room below, all in the one building, in the Indian building. Nothing else. No electricity, no running water, no, very simple. And maybe half a dozen Westerners and the same number of Indians. And one day somebody asked Baba, how many people will come? And he said, as many as there are stones in the river. And it was like, no, can't imagine it. We couldn't even consider it. It was like, but Baba, there's sitting 8 or 10 or 12 people here with you in this tiny place with river crossings to get there and just a single pony path over Okaldunga to Haldwani. How can it be? But for sure, if he says it'll happen, it'll happen. I think for me, it was the same with the Kranti, this, because when he first spoke about it was more than 40 years ago, and I'm starting to get old. I'm 70 years now, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll get away with it. Maybe it won't happen in my lifetime, but he said to me, it'll happen in your lifetime. And then when it came at the beginning of last year, okay, Baba, here it is, no escape.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also not so worried about the dam being built and Hirakan going underwater.
This is a story going on, Raghu, since years, and since Baba's time, and Baba said it will never happen.
It's being renewed and renewed also, but it's one of the wonderful money milking projects for many people. So, just because of Babaji's predictions, I cannot imagine that it will actually happen.
I wanted to say to Lalita, I've heard this story about, having different people starting satsangs in their own languages. I think in Holland now they're having Dutch satsangs and around the world. And Babaji said, I think it was at Krishna's birthday or something like that. He's talked about that during the Kali Yuga, there was power through organized groups. And I think that's what we're seeing now, is that people want to come together. They want to sing together. They want to share. And even though we maybe can't come physically, that people are thinking of many different ways to do this. And it's beautiful what you shared, Lalita. And I've heard from groups around the world also. It doesn't have to be formal. There has to be, it's just you all get together and sing and share, and in your own language is very beautiful. And it's really helping so many people get through this time of Kranti, like you're talking about, Nansing.
Yes, it is.
So Sanjeev is leading. Thank you, Sanjeev, for being here. And Sanjeev will be with Uday Chatterley in a few weeks. Next week, we'll have satsang on the fire ceremony, on the sacred fire ceremony.
Hi, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Look forward to hearing more from you. I would go ahead. Somebody said something. Is that you?
I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay.
Is it Nina? I had to run to change my mom's bandage, so I don't know if somebody covered this. But I just wanted to say, and I don't know Western Indian, all that stuff. I don't know, when I went to Baba, I didn't have any notion of anything, and all these different gods and days and festivities and everything. And, I always go wide. So I don't know if anybody put this in while I was off doing my mom's bandage, but it's like, if we're all one and there's just one consciousness, I just think that first of all, I wonder how all these different tales came about in the first place. Like who wrote the first thing about Ganesh, for example, or something. And, but I think that they're all aspects of one thing. They're all different aspects of one being. So yes, maybe this one has an elephant head and this one has 5 arms and this one has, all this, but it's what we're praying to is an aspect of the divine. So, but it's all one divine. So, when we sing, it's like, oh, well, we're singing to that aspect. So maybe Kali is the one who's portrayed more powerful and fierce, but fierce against illusion, fierce against untruth. But that's just one aspect. It's all the same. It's all the same. And that's how I look at, even Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, they're all one thing. And so we're always praying to that one thing and maybe a different aspect of it. It's the same if you look at, the different gods sitting, and then you go back from earth and you go back from earth and you go far, far away, and all of a sudden you just see a little dot, it's just all one thing. So, yes, I pray to Ganesh if I have something going on that is troubling me, but I don't think Ganesh separate from Shiva separate from Hedikandeshwari. No. I'm just asking the aspect of the divine that deals with obstacles to give me a hand. And actually, it's an aspect of myself if we want to bring it back to the universal truth. So it's all kind of a little game we play, and it's a fun game. And I adore Ganesh. He's so sweet. I always bring him candy. I always love to stroke his trunk. I adore him. But I also know that's, it's just an expression of love, and there's no him in me. And so, yeah, it can be very complicated. And the more gods we have, the more religions we have, the more, these divisions, we got to at some point bring it all back together to one. And taking a Janeo, you're saying you're going to live the Dharma. Oh my gosh, what if you don't in this lifetime? If you take that vow, what happens if you don't fulfill it? Hopefully Ganesh will step in and cover you or something, because I don't know what a vow is pretty, I always say to people who marry in the Dooney and stuff, and then they divorce, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, you took a vow there. So I don't know, maybe I'm just, I just want to lighten it a little bit, the whole, all the rituals and stuff. Even though I love them and I love singing to all the different everything, it's still, it's all one. Yeah.
I think it's all done with that understanding that we really worship the one supreme Brahman. But Brahman has uncountable divine power, this supreme, and the best description I ever heard was that it's the divine's like a diamond. It's this multifaceted, and exactly what you say, it's a reflection of our deepest inner being. And the reason we're here is to come into the realization that we're not separate from that. That is us. I am that. So Shastraji gave the best explanation I ever heard in Chistanino once. And somebody said, why is there all these devas and devis? Why all these gods and goddesses? He said, well, it has to appeal to everybody. You like pasta, I like curry. So
when I used to take Westerners on tours to India, Sandra Ray and I led tours, I don't know, for 5-6 years in the 80s, early 90s, or even today when I do slideshows and things, and people are very confused. I often refer to when I was raised a Catholic, which I was, and cherished many parts, still do. What I learned in my catechism class was that God was all-knowing, all-merciful, all-powerful, all-loving, all this, that, and just there was a huge list of all the things that described this divine being that is sometimes hard to grasp. And I just tell people that in India, they've given a personification to every one of those aspects. So, and like Gayatri said, when I'm about to take a big test, I might talk to Saraswati a little bit and say, hey, come be with me or something like that. And at that time, I'm preferring the pasta over the curry, but it's all the same. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I often think that there's so many celebrations because in India, and we do it the same here, before every big celebration, we clean everything. So it's like to keep the houses really cleaned and the temples really clean, we'll have a celebration of some aspect of the divine.
Well, if you put it right, if you go to the gallery view where you can see all of us, it's like the diamonds. It's like the faces of the diamond. And it reminds me of, I've said it once in in Holland that Diane Hinterman, she was leaving Babaji, and she said, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you so much." And he said, "Which me? This me? This me? This me?" And he pointed around, and it looks like that now on the gallery view. It's like, which me? This me? This me? I like it so much. I love gallery view.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's all different aspects of the divine. But
Yeah.
if we don't have any of these aspects, like I've studied a bit of Advaita, the non this, non that. You too, Gayatri, we've met there. When you don't, you can see that with the people who worship or focus only on that, many of them are lost actually, because they don't have this, they have some concepts, but to live by them is very difficult actually. It's a constant sharp inner awareness on all your thoughts and doing, while going through this worship of these, which was totally alien for me when I arrived, but to go through the worship of these various aspects of God makes you also contemplate on these aspects, and it keeps you more connected. It keeps you closer if you're doing it. I mean, I visit shortly after Babaji Samadhi. Used to go all the time to actually already before to Benares, and I stayed with Nirmal and Kailash Sharma. Their father was already expired. He was a pujari in the Kashi Vishwanath temple, but that family was pure Brahmin, and they did puja one after the other. Sometimes there were a few days in between one puja and the next, but they had so many different aspects of the divine. They were always worshipping and always busy with batis and flowers and incense around the house and fasting and doing things. So it was a constant focus on different aspects of the divine. So, and then your life is being carried somehow. We do that now in another way, because we have, particularly Westerners, have another mind, but it makes it like a mala almost for how they were living their life. And it really embeds something, so this divine connection inside our hearts is so strongly embedded when we live our life in that way.
Guys, we have 3 hands up. We have Mohan, we have Anamui, we have Manjula.
Okay, let's start with Mohan. Go ahead, Mohan. Can you show your face when you speak and unmute? Oh, there he is. Hi, Mohan.
Yeah, I heard that the different faces of God are different aspects of God, and the God is one. And one of the areas that we come across a lot nowadays, of late, is the science and non-duality. And there is a big group called SAND now. Long time ago, like 10 years ago, the SAND group, the Science and Non-Duality group, had a big conference at CU Boulder. And at that time it was free and a lot of people attended. And it's called Om equal to MC square. That is their symbol. And now it is so popular that they charge a lot, and a lot of people at the high end come and discuss about things. And the people that attend that are a lot of them from the science area. So you can see a lot of eminent people from the big universities, Harvard, Stanford, and around the world come to that. So that is how the quantum physics and the modern things are connected with the non-duality. And that's a very interesting subject, and it's exploding really a lot in that space. I mean, the people who are interested in that area, there is something which connects the non-duality or Advaita Vedanta with the science, the modern science.
Mohan, I have been to that maybe 7 times. The people are really good friends of mine, Maurizio and Zaya, and they are Nisargadatta Maharaj devotees. That's where it started, from Nisargadatta, this science and non-duality. Just a side note.
Yeah.
Okay.
PD Baba. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you.
Yeah. And there is yet another thing was the one, I would like to share one of the small stories that Amma shared a while ago, which resonated a lot with me. And that's about Hanuman. We are talking about deities, and that's about Hanuman. And since Hanuman is one of the very important deities for me, it resonated a lot. And that story may take about 4 or 5 minutes though. So I do not know whether we have time for that. So
It's okay. Just speak a little louder and closer to your microphone.
okay. Okay. So the story goes like this. Hanuman is a devotee of Rama. He always loves to hear the stories of Rama, whoever says that, especially from the Rama's devotees. So it's like Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Ko Rasiya. He enjoys it. So one day, and he goes there to hear the stories in a different form. So as a villager, as a small kid, as a normal person. So one day he goes and hears a story from a saint like a big saint who is a very good devotee of Lord Ram. And the saint says the story of Hanuman and Ram. And Hanuman and Ram come in the same story. And he says, Hanuman flew over Ashokavan, where Sita was kept in prison or kept there, not in a prison, but Ravana kept her in that Ashokavan, which is a beautiful place. And the saint says, when Hanuman flew over the forest, he saw Sita and he saw the beautiful white flowers around her. She was so pure, and he saw all these beautiful white flowers. And Hanuman, who is listening to the story as a villager, he hears that and says, "No, I saw all the red flowers. How come the saint saying that I saw the white flowers? I was the one who saw the red flowers, and he is saying I saw the white flowers. I can't believe him." And he gets angry, but at the same time, he also knows the saint is a devotee of Lord Ram. And then he gets, after the speech was over, he goes to talk to the saint, and he can't reveal himself. And he goes and says, I thought Hanuman saw only red flowers. And saint says, no, he saw only white flowers. I know for that for sure. And after a long discussion, they agree that this case could be resolved if we take it to Lord Ram. And both of them go to Lord Ram and they pray for him. And then he comes in front of them because both of them are very close to him. And they say like what he is saying and what he is saying. And Lord Ram listens to both of them and says, both of you are right. And they are taken back. And Lord Ram knows who is who. I mean, he knows the saint, he knows Hanuman. And then he asks Hanuman, okay, what did you think when you saw Sita? And he says, I was so angry. I want to burn the whole of Lanka and take her out and bring it to you. I was so angry. You are so angry. Your eyes were so red. Whatever is the color, you would have seen only red. And then he turns to the saint and asks, what do you think Hanuman saw? He saw only the purity of Sita. He didn't see anything else. So your eyes were so white, so pure. Your thoughts were so pure. Whatever is the flower's colors, you would have seen only white. So both of you are right. And it doesn't matter what color the flowers were. So, and the thing that came out was like, just remember that that we are all in that, even if it is so for Hanuman and the saint, it could be so for us too. So it was a beautiful story. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
Thank you, Mohan.
Thank you, Mohan. Okay, Anita.
Can I share?
Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, it's also about all the different deities and the curry and the pasta. That I read once that somebody asked her guru, how many ways are there to God? And the guru answered, there are as many ways as there are people. So that's it. And yeah, I think then everything is said in a way, in a short way. And what I also like to share is about the beginning of the satsang. It was about Hirakandeshwari Ma, and I work in the Dutch ashram in the shop, and so the people walk in really just they are passing by. They never heard, they have no notion of anything, but they see the picture of Hirakandeshwari Ma and they're really like, I want to have it like that. And sometimes they want to know who she is, but if you have too many words, they are not interested. It's just the power of the picture. And the same is with the picture of old Hirakan Baba. And I have sold many pictures of mostly of Hirakandeshwari Ma to people who are not devotees, never heard of Babaji, but they are just really attracted by this picture. And they are not, mostly they are not really interested in the details. They just feel a certain power or attraction. And it really gives me a lot of trust and faith in that Babaji is still moving around and working with everybody in his way. And yeah, that's just what I like to add to everything that already had been said about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ole Baba Ki Jai.
Yeah. Sally, did you want to share? And did I miss somebody else, Gayatri?
Manjula.
Oh, Manjula. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a question to Raghuveer and also what he said before, and it maybe fits in. It's how Babaji works through everybody of us, or yeah. It's also a question because when we stayed on Navarata in Hirakan, then Raghuveer, you did always these speeches before the fire. And it's kind of, you know, in Navaratri, there is many things going on inside and troubles and questions, and you are angry or you are, you know, and on your speech, it was every time exactly the answer I was asking inside, you know, it was always the exact answer of my inner questions. So this is kind of how Babaji works through people. And it's also a question for you, how you came to this speech. So it was just come up inside, or you talked to Muniraji about it, or I don't know.
Babaji was telling me in the morning, Manjula is thinking about this, and please.
I thought that.
No, I didn't have anything like that. Muniraj was not involved in these speeches. He was just telling me that it was good to continue. I was very insecure in the beginning about this, and very careful also. It started 25 years ago. It was more an announcement of the name and the day and what is actually said in the Sankalp during the beginning of the Havan I was saying that out loud a little bit, not to start saying only Bole Baba Ki Jai, today is invited. So I started to make a little something, but that became something through the years. And I only pray because I don't particularly feel that I have something to say. So I was more praying to Babaji from what can I say, what can I feel? But when you have to do that for 9 days, and in the first 22 years, I did those speeches always on the early morning, as soon as I woke up, before I did my puja and my thing. So that becomes also a bit of a pressure, because it takes an hour or something to write. I'm not an English speaker, and I'm on you a native speaker, and you need to use this certain language to make it interesting. So I was concentrating and doing these things, but you're under pressure to do that always. So it wasn't always, I don't know, I was just asking for guidance, and it always came out in a certain way. And it was much easier later when I was doing some speeches also before, or doing a few on a day or something like that, that I was keeping us. But still I was asking, of course, for his guidance. So what you're saying now, I know it was working for many people, but it was also not, I think I wasn't talking of these speeches were not to you. These were speeches.
No.
They were on certain topics where many people were going through. It is our life. It is, as the whole Navaratri, the aspects are we worshipping. This is a certain essence of our life, and these speeches were somehow also blending in their way.
And I think it's also like Babaji works. It's like, you know, you meet somebody in the chai shop, or your speech is the answer for many devotees, you know, in different ways. This is like Babaji works also through the devotees. To, you know, it's always when I'm in the ashram, it's like a miracle. I meet exactly the people I have to meet out of what's going on inside of me, and I get answers from them. You know, it's like Babaji talk. It's a miracle. It's like a miracle.
It's so, like the blessing of awareness, because you are listening to somebody and you're connecting it, because other people may be sitting in the tea shop and they don't hear it, and they say, nice, and they go away. But it is being aware how Babaji speaks to us through other people, even through circumstances, not personal, that all of a sudden you feel that he's talking to you through the symbols or through.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. But thank you for that. You shared how you came to the speech. I was wondering. Okay, also. Thank you. Okay.
Sally also has something to say.
Go ahead, Sally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I went to, thank you. Hi, everyone. When I went to Huracan, I think it was 2018, I brought a print of the Divine Mother from there. And the first part of the story is that I went up to the little shop upstairs and I brought the print and I carried it downstairs. And when I got to the bottom of the stairs, there was a convoy of 10 to 12 red dragonflies flying in perfect unison, like a convoy or horses riding before the Queen or something like that. And not that I'm the Queen, but, and then when I got to the cafes, the dragonflies in perfect unison veered off to the left. And I thought that was really beautiful. And the other part of the story was when I was back in Australia and I was looking at that print one day, I just kind of went into a bit of an altered state, and her face just changed to green Tara and Mary and then an African goddess. And I felt like she was showing me that she is the same, and she just presents the form to whatever that person recognizes as the Divine Mother. And that was a beautiful experience for me to experience that. Yeah, a bit nervous. It's my first time sharing on these satsangs, so yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Sally. Glad we can accommodate New Zealand and Australia. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's really lovely. Yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rita on the telephone.
Okay.
I just had one more question for Nansing about what he talked about the 4 seasons and about that it's a cleansing time. And I wonder if he or anyone would want to talk about that.
Well, with my limited knowledge and understanding of these things, there are 4 great ages, and they correspond. The energies of the great ages correspond, or yugas, they correspond really to the seasons in the fact that there's the energy asleep in the winter, the energy coming and so on, like the spring and so on. And now we move from into the age of Kali Yuga. So it's time for dyeing and cleaning, and but also for they're very profound, these yugas. So this is the time for untruth to dissolve and truth to come to the fore. And so it's not a negative time at all, any more than we see autumn and winter as negative times. But it's a time of unspeakably huge change. And you know, in India, it's often talked about, you surrender at the feet of the Guru. We pranam, we prostrate ourselves at the feet. And often in these times of great stormy change, I often have this image in my mind of my self lying on the ground, face down in Danda Pranam, with my arms locked around Babaji's ankles, just with devotion and holding on for dear life or death. But just to be surrendered as much as we possibly can at the feet of the divine, however we perceive the divine to be. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Bole Baba Ki Jai.
As we surrender and we walk step by step without any expectations or pictures of how it should be or could be or anything like that, at least for me, then I find it miraculous every moment. And it's sort of revealed what the next step should be, but it takes that holding on to that's a beautiful picture of holding on to that, to the grace of the Guru, to that oneness that we all are. Through this.
I see these, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I see in the media today, there's much stuff around the world that Australians are in prison because we're in lockdown, many of us, millions of us, because of this COVID. And we're not allowed to leave our homes except for 1 hour of exercise each day, or to go to buy food or medicine. And people are saying, oh, it's a terrible thing. It's actually marvelous. And can you imagine? You're allowed to stay home and meditate. You don't need to go anywhere. So, most Australians, the majority, are pretty laid back, and they're like people around the world are freaking out about what's happening here. But here, people are going, oh yeah, okay, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Stay home. Yeah, so it's just a big opportunity to go inside. I see it as Baba's blessing. You know, it's like stay home, do your puja, whatever that is for you. Enjoy.
Thank you, everybody. Sally, did you have more to share, or you just didn't put your hand down? Thank you, Sally. I just want to thank everybody, and what a beautiful. I reminded that recently somebody posted the picture of Sri Mandalesh. I can't remember. Raghu, how do you say his name? Sri
Mandaleshwar.
Mahamangaleshwar.
And I remember when I met him a few times, I was just amazed that he spent his whole day doing pujas. And just similar to what you were saying, Raghu, about going to the Sharma house in Benares. Whether it's an outward puja or really, it's just welcoming that oneness in our heart is what puja is. So however you experience that. So we spend our day in oneness, then it's a beautiful thing. So thank you all. Anybody want to say anything else before we end?
Thank you for all the incredible energy you put into making these satsangs happen, Ramloti. Thank you that you serve in such a beautiful way.
Yes, thank you, Lottie. It's so meaningful and precious. Thank you.
I enjoy connecting with everybody. It's really amazing, actually.
Looks like Randy wants to say
Jendra, who
something.
took all these early pictures of Babaji, he'll be on in about 4 weeks. So next week will be fire ceremony, Karku and Jamna and JD Marston and Pujari and many of the other Duni people, Nansing Raghu and other folks, and all of us that have experienced the fire so beautifully in our hearts, in our lives. What does that mean? Once again, going deeper into that. So it'll be same time, same place, and everyone's welcome to join and to share. And then the following week we'll have Sanjeev and Uday, and the following week we'll have Rajendra. So anyway, so it goes on and on. I get too excited to sleep sometimes.
The 7 a.m. Mountain time, Ramloti?
Wait, 1 person at a time?
Would it be 7 a.m. Mountain time next
We're
week?
going to try to see how that works so that we can get Nansing and Raghu and the Thai people. And it's easier for our Indian devotees too, so it's not too late for them. So we'll keep with 7 for a while, and if we hear that that doesn't work, we'll retry. But for the next 4 weeks, we'll have 7. And yeah, the beginning of October, we'll have a satsang about Sastraji. And I'm so excited about that too, because it's the beginning of right before Navratri. So on and on. It's always on our website, our newsletter, and on Facebook. So any other avenue, I try to put it on the WhatsApp. Let me know anything else that we can share it more broadly with.
Yes, is it the same Zoom number?
It's the same link every week. So just put it in your memory bank or whatever you do.
Ramloti, we love you so much.
Thank you. Anyway, love to everybody. Thank you. Thank you for.
Well, I've got to an age. I've got to an age where you're the only person who can keep me up till 1 a.m.
Well, may the parties continue, Nansing. Bole Baba ki jai.
Thank you. Bole Baba
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah